Hey, it's Chase from On the Table Gaming, and today we're going to take a look inside the Mortal Gods Athenian army set from Footsore Miniature. I'm actually really excited to be getting into historical wargaming, and this is my first set of ancient-themed miniatures. So if you're looking to get started yourself, welcome along for the ride. And if you're a veteran player, please let me know any tips or advice in the comments below. So right off the bat, you'll notice we've got an Athenian leader. I believe it's pronounced Alakagos, sort of gracing the cover. Now, this beautiful artwork is done by Steve Beckett, and for some reason, this art just has a strong nostalgia factor for me. I just absolutely love it. Now, the miniatures inside are from Victrix, and the boxes still say War Banner, but the company is now called Footsore Miniatures. On the back, there's a little overview here that gives some context and tells us about our leader, Andronicus, a stalwart leader able to inspire his men to take courageous action as the Lakos races across the battlefield to victory. And it gives us a little rundown of the content. So there's 3 characters, 16 plastic Victrix miniatures with bases, and then 19 Athenian owl shields, 24 Athenian roster cards, 5 Athenian gift cards, 3 omen cards, 7 dice, plus, the rules, the special rules for Athenian soldiers. So, we got a lot of stuff in here, but we got to start with the rules. So let's take out this book and take a look. So the information is written from the point of view of a character, and I think it's pronounced Fatis. I swear this game is actually incredibly accessible, but the names for non-Greek speakers, they're brutal. So if we ever get Footsore Miniature folks on our podcast, I'm going to have them do a pronunciation guide for me. But back to Fatis. So he's a character that serves as your guide to the Mortal Gods sort of universe, their setting. And these pages, and through these pages, he helps to kind of set the scene, provide a really basic but easily digestible background to things like the Peloponnesian Wars and the rise and fall of the Athenian Empire. And there's a lot of text here. I'd love to see even more images, mostly just because the photos that they do have are amazing, but they might be limited by space and size of the publication. So then here at the end, we have the basic rules for the Athenians. So I'm a complete novice at the game, so I'm going to save Athenian rules and ability breakdowns for a future video. Then the book wraps up with some information about the characters included, Andronicus and Pantaleon, I think is how you say it. But you've been patient. Let's just jump in and look at the physical manipulatives that are included inside the box. So here are the sprues, and we've got 2 plastic frames with 16 bodies. Now, if you've never played historicals, you might be used to 35mm scale miniatures, and these are 28mm. So they're noticeably different in size if they're standing next to like a Space Marine or like a Free Folk skin changer from a Song of Ice and Fire, the miniatures game. But I found there really wasn't any difference in painting them. Like, it's not that big a deal in size. So, if that's something you're worried about, is like kind of transitioning to slightly smaller models, like it's not really that big a change. The detail is actually really great, and there's a variety of poses, plenty of weapon options, and you've got to be a little bit mindful here when cutting out the spears, but I didn't really have any problems with that. Now, if you're coming from a sci-fi or fantasy background, you might be used to having like little instruction guides that show you how to assemble the miniatures or offer suggestions. There's nothing like that in this box. Especially if you're taking the plunge on your own or starting a community rather than joining a pre-existing one, you might have some fears about like, am I assembling these right? Really, it just gives you much more flexibility to create what you think looks cool. But there is a Mortal Gods Facebook group, so you can join that and get guidance and ask questions. And I've actually done that myself, and they've been incredibly helpful and supportive. So be sure to check that out. Now, it's really the shields that make your miniatures look truly Athenian. They've got this owl symbol on them, and they're embossed enough to make them easy to paint, and they really pop. So I'm a big fan of that. And the box says you get 3 metal characters, but I was given a promotional code at checkout when I ordered, and so there's a 4th one added in there. So make sure you check out Footsore's online store for promotions when you're purchasing things. And out of these ones I've got, Andronicus is my favorite for sure. But you get kind of the idea of what the miniatures look like here. They're actually very detailed. Unfortunately, on the camera here, there's a little bit of a shine, but they are incredibly detailed. This guy is one of my favorites. He's got this sort of like, come at me, bro, holding a shield and speared with his guard open sort of stance. And this guy is also really cool. Now, this might have been the promotional miniature that they threw in here, though. So this may not be one of the standard 3. And then the final one is doing like a shield bash. And like I said, all of them are just so full of character and well sculpted. And you can also see here the spears. It's a little bent, but you can bend it with your hand and it's totally fine. So now the set comes with rounded bases, which is great. I really like the forming up mechanic in this game. And I don't know what people typically do, but I found myself sanding the edges of the bases so that they're more easily popped in and out of the trays. I'm not sure what veterans do, but I found that they fit pretty well. And I was afraid I was gonna hurt a miniature pulling it off if it was a little too snug as a result of me maybe painting the bases. Something just to consider. And then you've got dice for wounds. But you are going to need the dice from the core set to be able to play the game, since it does use specialty dice. So, if you and your friend just both pick up an Athenian and a Spartan starter set, you do need to get, an extra set of dice then, or, one of you should probably pick up the core set. Now, Footsore Miniatures currently is doing like a get your friend into the game sort of thing, where you can buy 2 starters at a discounted price, which is really a great deal. And then, additionally to this, you also have the cards. Now, these are really what makes your miniatures, the Athenians here. So you've got your, things like your Athenian Marine hoplites. And, these are the cards you're going to be using when you're playing the game, so you can easily reference the stats. It's such a great way to do it. I think a lot of times when you're having to remember the information on, in a book and looking up pages, that can really distract you from the game. And just being able to have these out on the table in front of you as you play just makes the game go so much more smoothly. And like I said, I'm a complete novice, just getting into it. And so, limited game time. But I find I kind of prefer that, especially when the cards look thematic and cool. You're just putting them at the base of the table, and it kind of adds to the atmosphere. And, once again, Steve Beckett's art, really makes these cards work. So that's what kind of seals the deal. So, it's just a quick look at this unboxing of this set. Like I said, I'm new to Mortal Gods. We're just checking out this content for the first time. I'm new to historicals as well. So, if you've got any feedback, comments, pronunciation tips, let me know. And I'm looking forward to expanding our forces. And if you're looking at a great transition game from maybe a fantasy sci-fi game to historical, Mortal Gods is kind of a nice middle point. They do have a mythic component. You can get an expansion that lets you add in more fantastical elements like Greek mythological beasts, like Jason, Argonauts, ogres, hydras, those sorts of things. So if you got that one guy in your group who's not super into historicals, but he might be swayed by that, the miniatures look amazing. That being said, we're looking forward to doing some more Mortal Gods content as we explore some of these historical systems. Let us know any questions you have in the comments below or tips. And in the meantime, we hope you get your miniatures on the table.